I think the judgment is as bad as it could be for PTI. Number one, it has confirmed that there has been prohibited funding to PTI, which was the key case, which was the key point within this case for the last 8 years. It has confirmed that the prohibited funding included foreign funding. It has also confirmed that the statement of accounts, which is submitted by head of the party every year, that was also inaccurate. So there could be a case made based on that, and it has set the stage very firmly for the next round, which could be more disastrous. At this stage, only consequence is that these prohibited funds which have been collected by the party could be confiscated by the state. But the next round, if that is taken to its logical conclusion, then that could be more disastrous for the party. The next stage is that the federal government, it can make a declaration based on the information which has been provided in the judgment of the Election Commission that PTI is a foreign aided political party, and therefore it should stand dissolved. And after it makes the declaration, within 15 days, it should file this declaration before the Supreme Court. And then Supreme Court finally decides whether the declaration made by the federal government is correct, well-founded, or it's not so. So if the Supreme Court says it is a correct declaration, in that case, PTI as a party will stand dissolved, and all its elected legislators, both at the federal and provincial level, will also stand disqualified for the remaining term of the legislatures. In addition, they may be declared disqualified to contest election for the next 4 years. So these are the consequences which are written within the political parties order 2002, and that is something which remains to be seen whether the federal government will go ahead and do that, and whether the Supreme Court will uphold that. And second possible consequence is that since Election Commission has already declared that the affidavit or the declaration made by the party chief with the statement of accounts, which it does every year, is not accurate. It hides certain facts and it does not report correctly. So that could also be the basis of filing a case by anyone before the Supreme Court that the party chief who has certified these accounts to be correct is not Sadiq and Amin according to the Constitution. And if the court agrees with that, then that would mean that the party chief will also be disqualified. PTI has the option to challenge this in the court of law, this very verdict which has been given today by Election Commission. And that could be a separate case. The court may issue a stay order, which means then the further processing of this order will not happen until the stay order is lifted. And after in due time, the court may even overturn this verdict, partly or completely. So that's another option. If it does not issue a stay order and let the proceedings go on, in that case, it doesn't stop the federal government from making a declaration about the party that it should be dissolved. But the dissolution can only happen if the Supreme Court, which has to, where the federal government has to file this declaration within 15 days, if they uphold this declaration. If they uphold this declaration, only then the party will stand dissolved. But their elected representatives in the provincial assemblies and the federal, in the Senate and National Assembly, they will also lose their seats if the party is dissolved. This is what I said. But if between the filing of the declaration and Supreme Court judgment, if these legislators announce their dissociation from the party and they resign from the party, in that case, they can avoid their disqualification for the next 4 years. But if they don't, then they may be declared disqualified from contesting election for the next 4 years. These are the possible consequences. These will follow only if the court so sanctions or so announces or so agrees. So these are the possibilities in the law which may happen. But whether it will happen or not, that depends upon the further round of the legal battle which the government and PTI will contest in the courts of law. I don't think it is going to affect the timetable of the election next year, because according to Constitution, the current National Assembly will complete its 5-year term in August 2023. And after that, it's the legal constitutional obligation that at the completion of the 5-year term, within 60 days, Election Commission should hold election. So I don't think that is going to be affected by whatever be the case of this judgment and its follow-on effect. So election will not be affected. But law is already there, and this law should be applicable to all political parties equally. But I also feel that Election Commission should not even wait for the complaint to be filed by someone. It should scrutinize the statement of account submitted by political parties. And if they find any wrongdoing in it, they should take action on their own without waiting for anybody to file a complaint. But having said that, yes, already there are complaints against PPP, pml-n, and probably JUIF as well. So they're already in the process, although the complaints were filed after a few years of filing of complaint against PTI. So there's a time lag. But it doesn't suggest, I'm not suggesting that this should also take 8 years to decide, because those 8 years came out because PTI had been challenging the jurisdiction of the Election Commission and various orders passed by the Election Commission in various courts of law, High Court and Supreme Court, and therefore there had been extended adjournments of the cases, and it took them 8 years to finally come to this stage. But the other parties, if they do not follow the same course as PTI did, then they could be quickly decided. And my sense is that even this case will reach its logical conclusion in the Supreme Court before the next election is announced. And the judgment about the other parties will also be announced before the next election is announced. So hopefully, by the time the next election is announced, all these cases would be settled, at least against the major political parties. And I hope that the Election Commission would set up a very capable political finance cell within the Election Commission, for which I think Election Commission has already started working, and it should be taking up these statements of accounts filed by political parties and various legislators on their own and scrutinize them and take action in time. It doesn't have to wait that long to pass a judgment, something which happened in 2013, 2010, and you're pronouncing it. Even the law has been changed now. So let's hope that the lessons are learned, political parties are more careful, and Election Commission becomes more efficient and more capable.